So in the last video we left off configuring WordPress and getting it up to speed. In my projects I use gulp. We made use of a gulp file. I was having some issues with errors when I did run gulp, and it actually ended up being that I was sourcing a variable wrong. I had a $sign right here in front of this one, so it looked like that, and it was throwing errors. So I went ahead and added that back, and my code now works. So if I run gulp, of course I'm in my working theme directory right now for the H2O theme. If I run gulp, it should fire up the browser at localhost 3000, and then our theme, our website name locally, which is H2O. From this point forward, I can start adding basically the essential parts of the theme that are in our design, which is here. There's some images and stuff we'll have to take care of when we export these. It shouldn't be too big a deal, but we'll see how things pan out, because some of this is the curves. I'm not sure if I can do that right now with CSS or maybe an SVG of some sort, but for safety's sake I might export things globally just to have it set up and ready to go. First thing I want to do though is clean up what's in the theme itself, just to kind of give me a fresh blank canvas to start on. So with the starter theme, they include the skip to content for accessibility for screen reader text, and that's cool, but in my theme it's not really blog focused, so I'll go ahead and can that one. Same with this. I'm not sure how much I'm going to need the site description. I might just do a custom field or something to bring that back. I just broke something. Yeah, for now I think I'm going to do we'll get rid of that. We just need to close the PHP tag. Cool. It's also making use of a primary menu, which is this page here. I don't know if you guys can see it. We'll zoom in as much as I can. We'll have to customize that based on our design, but we will make use of that. The button toggle, I don't think I'll really need. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's see. So these are actually our sidebar. I don't think I'll even use a sidebar on the site, so I'm going to go into pretty much all of our main template files and get rid of that. It's a get sidebar request that's WordPress is famously known for. The same with the header and the footer. They're kind of just global instances that you can pull in on each template you use. So what we're looking at, I believe right now, is the index template. With WordPress, there's certain naming conventions you can use to use like a front page or a home page, and WordPress will automatically know what that is or where that is. I kind of like to do that in case there is maybe a blog in the future, which I think there might be plans for that for this theme or this design. So essentially, to get going with that, I create a new file and I call it front page with the dash, so it's front dash page. I don't know if that's the suggested name, but typically I just use a template name anyway to keep it all separate. So we'll just do this landing page. I don't really need this stuff. So the unique thing about naming, if you're new to WordPress, this might be new to you, but having this comment here actually tells WordPress that there is a template file that you should basically use instead of what's already bundled in the theme. So if we create a new page from the dashboard, we'll just call it homepage for now, or home. The template actually shows up here in this field. So you can do that with tons of different pages if you want. I like to keep things separate and do that as much as possible if the design calls for it. So we're going to go ahead and set that. The only problem with that now is there's actually no, well, there is this, it corresponds to this page. So to check this, we could actually just do I'll just throw some test text here, maybe in a H1, just to see it. So if we visit the home page, that should show. And then to give you by example here, we can edit it back to default and it shouldn't show. Yeah, it's not there. So that's how you use templates. It's pretty simple. Once you get used to it, it becomes a no-brainer thing. That said, I do want to go in and change our widgets around just to get rid of them in case they are on other pages. I don't anticipate using these, so by default WordPress comes with this on an install. I don't know why, but they do. Okay, so that's fixed. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And for this specific theme, starter theme, there's a template template parts folder. This is kind of the home for all the, I guess maybe you'd call them partials. Basically modules that you would include on a typical page. So on the page.php file, it's including using the get template part method, the content page. So that's including this page here. So the naming conventions are pretty important. You can go against the grain and do them differently, but if you use what WordPress already knows, it kind of makes your workflow a lot quicker and easier to understand. And if you ever need to edit something, it's easier to find that file. So I'd recommend kind of keeping that thing going. So since this is our home page, I'm honestly just going to get rid of all this stuff. I don't need it here yet. If I do, I'll add it back. So our page should essentially be blank minus our menu, which is included in our header, and this is the logo. Let me sync this back in, which is the main site branding. That's all in the header, and then this part, powered by WordPress, the theme and my name, is in the footer. So actually I'm going to get rid of that stuff too. I don't really want this stuff. We'll come back and add some, maybe some copyright info for Jamie's product, whether it's a trademark kind of thing or something like that. We'll come back. So essentially, here's our blank slate. Right now, our style sheet is being imported from our assets file, our assets style.scss file. So this file in itself is compiling to this one, and you can see that by these lines, especially because I installed source maps on our gulp install, and that helps me find basically specific styles on each partial that I end up using, which I use a lot because I like to separate entities of different pieces of pages. If you think of them in module format, it's just way easier to understand and not have to write tons of CSS. But we'll get into more of that once we get going here. I think from this point forward, we can start getting our assets ready. So I'm going to do that next. Before I go, I'm going to fix a few pages. I don't want the sidebar on pretty much any page. So I'm going to go through all of these basic template files that are included and just get rid of those. We did archive 404, shouldn't have one. Page. Cool. Yeah, okay. So from this point forward, we can get rolling. So I think I didn't mean to open that. Yeah, so let's do some exporting where possible. I like to use SVG mainly because If you don't already know, it's basically vector and it scales and looks good on all devices. So there's some instances before we were, SVG was a big thing, even though it's been around a while, where images would look fuzzy on retina screens, and that was all too common once your iPhone 6 or 5S or whatever came out, and the screen pixel density was just outrageous. So to fix that, you either need to export assets at like 2 times their size and scale them back, or use SVG if you can. So stuff like this lemon image, there's no way I can do SVG with that. It's raster, so we'll have to deal with that, but it's doable. So I'm kind of just doing a little housekeeping to make sure we export images with, you know, names that I can identify with, because I didn't really go through and name these awesomely, but we'll figure that out. The logo we definitely want to make sure is good to go. This guy we can do SVG emblem, maybe we'll call it. I don't know if that's spelled right, probably not. Emblem, there we go. Let's get this photo and this one. Same with these. We'll do lemons, background, image. This stuff too. So this is a giant group here. I'll probably do the splashes with it. So I'm going to group these. Drink pouches, maybe. Okay. This we can probably tweak. These I'll do, looks like they're images, but I'm gonna pull those from my icon library once we get to it. You can actually copy and paste SVG code, so I'm gonna just go that route. I think we're gonna need this little guy, buy button icon. Okay, I think I might be able to do, I don't know, I might do the same with the SVG, copy and paste of that one, but then again, it might be easier to do this. Play button icon. All right. Now, if I'm assuming correctly, we can go into Affinity Designer has an export mode. It's a persona is what they call it. So within this mode, you can actually, it's a lot like slicing in Photoshop if you're used to that. Unfortunately, I need to go back and, oh, I can do layers. Okay. So I can export layers one by one to get a slice. And then from that, I can export, say, to almost anything, which is cool. So I'm going to create an assets folder, not in our theme directory, because that's kind of weird, but let's just throw it right now on the desktop. So when I do this, I got to make sure I do this right. So SVG, create slice. Let's get this lemon image. Make sure that's it. Yep. We'll do that as a PNG and create a slice, which is huge, but we can figure that out. In fact, I can do this. So that's cool. Okay, and then we need this to be sliced, which is this thing here, the drink pouch stuff. Let's resize that a bit. All right. And then this guy, the little buy button icon. And these, the lemons. And that's ginormous, so we'll have to make it smaller. Cool. And then this photo of Jamie, create a slice. Same with this one. Go into this and create a slice. That one, I think I want SVG. Oh, I should probably do SVG here. Let me go back and double check this one's right. Selection is PNG. Yeah, that one we want PNG. This one we want PNG. This one definitely SVG. This one SVG for web. This one, let's do SVG for web. This one will be PNG. Okay, and then I forgot, like the most prominent image on the screen is this one back in the background. We can export it as is, I believe. We'll have to clip it, I think with using like a z-index thing with CSS to make this look right. I'm assuming. I've kind of never really messed too much with the angles, but I know they're not exactly easy, so we'll see how that goes. There we go. Okay. So this needs to be a maybe a PNGs are huge, so I'll try JPEG for now. And the quality like 80. Okay, so I think that's the bulk of stuff that we need to get. The rest can be added later or figured out later. So I think at this point, here's all of our slices. If you saw, there's a toggle for layers and a toggle for slices. So if you go in the layer section, find your layer, you create a slice like we just did for all these, and then they end up over in the slices tab. For each element, you can select what kind of formatting you want. So I put SVG for some, PNG for others, and JPEG for this giant one here. So that's kind of cool. I'm actually going to make this smaller, reduce the file size. I'm going to deselect. It also slices the entire pages or the artboards, so make sure you deselect those when you do export. And then at this point I'm hoping these export to the way I want them. So the folder I'm working on will be here. I just exported those and here they are. Cool. Kind of skewed, but we'll figure it out. One thing I just noticed though is we lost our kind of clipping, our angled, so even the that's clipped. Maybe I need to make that clip happen for this image. Let's see if I can do that in the file. So I'm going to go out of the persona and go back into the actual design Then we're gonna make and try to make a clip for this whole thing. Let me make that better. This needs to come down a bit. Okay, and then I want to fill this curve if I can. There we go. And then I'm not doing this for any aesthetic. I just want to mask this guy below it. There we go. So now this image should stand alone in that clipped fashion. So we're gonna go with that. Cool. Now I know how to do that. All right, so now that that's done, I want to go back to our export persona, fix that slice. We'll go back to, it looks like it's already updated, so that's cool. Yeah, all right, so let's re-export that, just that one. So I'll select or deselect the rest. Export that. I think it should name itself. Yep. Export. Let's make sure. Awesome. So I might need to make that a PNG, but I really don't anticipate it. If I can make our CSS work with us, we will see though, because I need to make that like exact. In fact, for grins, I'm going to make one PNG so I don't have to come back and do this again and again. You can do multiple here if you want to add more than one, like a 2x like in Sketch. If you're used to that, that's cool too, but I'm just doing it this once. PNG, cool, no background on that. All right, so with that said, I think our assets are ready to go. From here, we'll start building out the theme. So I'm going to end the video there to keep it shorter than the rest. I'll kind of continue that trend because I know these are long. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. I'll see you in the next one.